going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a technical analysis breakdown on AMD Advanced Micro Devices Incorporated. We have seen a lot of downwards pressure recently, guys, but the question is, are we going to get a bounce here before trying to fill this gap up level, or is it not looking good for the buyers and the overall market? Are we going to stay in this overall descending motion? Well, quickly to the weekly, guys, we've seen an obvious picture of chop, right? We've seen AMD being that ultimate narrative to the upside, but good bit of back and forth as of recently. We see a V-shaped pattern here, going into another V-shaped pattern, being a lot of volatility. Quick moves to the downside. We are on the weekly time frame, but given the overall structure, quicker moves to the downside, quicker moves to the upside. We've actually seen even more volatility pick up recently, guys, as we've gotten a sharper move to the downside within the last few months there, and then a sharp move to the upside, correcting that exact movement. And then from there, guys, we saw that volatility pick up even more with that gap up level and that continued move to all-time highs being that 267. Quickly correct. Buyers try to step back in the next week. You see a lot of selling pressure there, showing that that zone is a tough spot to claim and stay over, being that 250 psychological spot. And then we've seen a very harsh week on the last week of trading, with the overall market finding continued trouble to go ahead and find that bounce. But we still definitely are in a zone where we could be finding this volatile correction, correcting from this harsh movement downwards. So we're going to be analyzing today. Now, what we see here, guys, is a huge volume spike as we go ahead and get that gap up. Huge buyer surge. And then we see it kind of descend here, guys. So still moving to the upside, but volume is descending. And that's where we find our standstill. We hit that 267. We try to get that recovery, can only hold above that for one trading day on that second attempt. Even though we held above for around a week and a half of price action here, cannot hold that spot. See a continued amount of selling pressure. So we really break this range that we were in. We do see a sharper decline. Seeing that harsh movement on the second to last day of trading. Also on the overall market, we'll go to SPY recently. That was a very tough day for traders, guys. We see the sellers really ramp it up here and really mirroring where the exact spot was last time. We see that harsh movement here, but good thing is we hold up at that 652, leading to a move to the upside. And we see really exactly at the same spot, guys, almost mirroring same exact candles. This one a bit harsher, but really around a very similar spot, being around that 674, fighting that harsh move to the downside. And what do we see, guys? We saw the bounce here. It's looking really reminiscent. These couple candles look almost exactly like these candles here. So could we get the bounce here? I mean, it's definitely probable, guys, as we see in price history, although we have been on a sharp decline, as this was a nice uptrend and then a huge reversal all in one day. So this is definitely a bit different of a narrative, but you could feel pretty good about possibly finding a bounce on the overall market. And if we don't, you'd be looking for levels around that 650 to 640. And same with AMD, guys. We're still in a range where we're at that gap up level spot, trying to hold above that, being around that 202 level. And we do see a considerable amount of buying pressure here. So this is a perfect spot for us to go ahead and turn the narrative and find a bounce, try to reclaim this harsh move to the downside, and then get back within this playing range, trying to retest and finally claim over that 250. Last time we tested that spot, we got in a little pennant spot here, got tight, 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 broke out to the upside very nicely, and then continued that move upwards, and we tried to hold over that 250. That was our main goal, guys. The buyers try to hang out here before their next big move to the upside. We're hanging out, we're hanging out. At this point, the overall market is surging downwards. And at this point on AMD, we're trying to hold a spot that we've never touched before, right? So we go ahead and flush that spot as there's a ton of pressure to the downside. Quickly try to get above it, but there's still a ton of continued pressure in the overall market. And AMD is they're trying to find their base here. Buyers are trying to hang out here, build that energy before that continued move up and retest of all-time highs. And that's where we see that decline. And it gets a lot sharper as the overall market is kind of free falling here. So that's where we're at, but we still are in a really nice bounce position for AMD and the overall market. So we want to be looking out for, right? If the bears, though, did stay in that control, be looking at levels like that 185 to bounce at. Ultimately, the very low being that gap up level bottom right around that 173. So pretty bare bones stuff here, guys, going on. And if we look on the hourly, like we said, guys, very sharp move to the downside. But once we hit that spot where we really got to find that bounce, we get that little bounce, but still, you see the last couple candles, sellers try to keep applying that pressure. So the next day of trading will be crucial to see if we can actually find even an attempt at a bounce, even one closed green candle trying to bounce at this gap up level top. And if we can't, we're kind of in the clear to that 185. So I believe the next day of trading for AMD is crucial. And if we look on the monthly, guys, just to really zoom out and get the big picture here, this stock has been on the upwards trend since IPOing. And in the long term picture of things, since the overall market is falling, especially, still in an excellent position here for AMD. You just want to see the bounce sooner than later. And it's exactly a perfect spot to bounce at. So hopefully we see that next trading day. But long term investors still in a good position, especially given the last month being so strong. So we're only really halfway corrected from last month. And that's definitely still a very good position to be in for long term traders. So this is a great position to bounce, especially given that we are still holding above that 200 psychological dollar level. And we are still above, well above the 200 moving average, showing the bullish narrative still very much in play. We have really seeped under the 20 moving average, but so is the overall market, guys. The overall market has been falling, right? If we go back to SPY under that 20 moving average, I mean, everything at this point is really kind of under that spot, guys. We're obviously in a short term bearish spot here, but AMD and the overall market looking pretty nice and prone for that potential bounce. So that's our prediction. We get a bounce here unless everything's kind of gapped down and everything's still getting beat up come in Monday. Besides that, guys, I think we are in a nice narrative to get that bounce on not just AMD, but the overall market. And I think that we can go ahead, try to retest the top level spot being around that 225 to 230. That's our prediction for today and going into next week, since we've seen such a sharp, aggressive move to the downside. So hopefully we get that bounce. If we don't, guys, staying in this sharper detrending narrative, watch those key levels that we pointed out. And yeah, let me know your price predictions in the comments below. I'm curious to see where you guys have AMD, not just in the short term, tough position future, but the long term future for the stock. I wonder if any of you guys are long term investors. Let me know in the comments, guys. Definitely curious to see that. Let me know also what other stocks you want to see covered on the channel. Take requests all the time. And if you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't miss an update. As always, guys, trade smart. I'll see you all in the next one.